Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmates. We are here to tackle about international business and globalization. But before that, let me introduce ourselves. So, I am Gomena Melanie.
I am like Marie B. Kilab.
And I am Maria Erviker Habagat.
Business in global setting. For more than 40 years, public attention has been focused on ethical issues that arise when businesses operate in foreign countries. The United States that use their economic power to manipulate foreign countries. In 1970s, there was wide concern with U.S. firms that were seen as becoming corrupted by foreign business practices. In 1997, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act made it illegal for U.S. firms in the 1990s and 2000s. Attention shifted to include responsibility for the entire supply chain that produces and distributes a business products.
In introduction, significant ethical issues are raised by an examination of proper rule in business and international settings. Beginning in the 1970s, a number of dramatic and well-publicized cases highlighted these ethical issues. Early in 1970s, American based in ITT was accused of widespread efforts to undermine the democratically elected Marxist government of Salvador Allende in Chile.
Ethical relativism and cross-cultural values. There are many other cases in which apparent diversity of values disappears upon closer examination. The fact that political and economic elites tolerate corrupt and unethical conduct, especially in cases where they are the very ones benefit from the conduct. Many regions in Asia have traditions of lifelong employment. Many agricultural regions throughout the world have long practiced sustainable farming. Many cultures throughout the world deeply value communication social welfare structures. Most common issue faced by doing business in foreign countries stems from the realizations that different cultures have different value systems. Consider doing business in a culture that treats women as second-class citizens. For example, it operates in the United States, where it is believed that men and women should be treated equally and where bravery is wrong, while also operating in some Middle Eastern nations, where women are regarded as inferior to men and bravery is widely accepted. In these countries, hiring women was only permitted for the lowest level positions, and female employees could not participate in any negotiations with local business or join.
Cross-cultural values, human rights, and Duragi principles. Minimalist approach holds that business is free to pursue in each economic interest as long as certain minimal approach to corporate social responsibility acknowledges only negative duties to cause no harm. Once these minimal conditions are met, corporations fulfill their ethical responsibilities by meeting their economic goals. Example, producing goods and service, jobs, and profits. Donaldson argued that fundamental human rights can provide the international responsibilities for business. Donaldson's right he described, there are 10 bases for a list. First, the right to freedom of physical movement. Second, the right to ownership of property. Third, the right to freedom from torture. Fourth, the right to a fair trial. Fifth, the right to non-discriminatory treatment. Sixth, the right to physical security. Seventh, the right to freedom of speech and association. Eighth, the right to minimal education. 9. The right to political participation. 10. The right to subsistence.
Globalization and international business. We shift now to a more macro-level analysis of business international responsibilities. Ethical issues surrounding globalization have taken center stage in discussion of international relations within just the past few years. Globalization is a process of international economic integration. So, na siya accelerated in the 90s and 2020s. Next is international trade agreements. And under ana is ang under ana or example is General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade or GATT. Then next is North American Free Trade Agreement NAFTA. So ang globalization and international business have two corollaries of the view. So number one is economic growth and development that flows from more free and open trade is thought to be the most effective way to improve the well-being of the most improvement people in the world. And next is defenders of this process argue that economic integration is a major impediment to conflict. So under analysis na example A, the more countries cooperate economically, the less likely that are to fight militarily. Next is globalization and the poor. The general outline of the market-based argument are familiar by now. A free, competitive, and open international market will lead to more efficient and optimal distribution of economic goods and services. So, globalization has created an interconnected world where information, goods, and services can flow more freely across borders than ever before. This has led to a significant increase in competition among business and both globally and locally. This only means that globalization is the process of extending this free and open competition beyond national borders.
Race to the bottom. A second set of critical challenges to global economic activity is that fair trade and economic integration creates incentives to weaken or do away with environmental, labor, health, and safety regulations. Regulations cause barriers to trade. Free trade agreements make tariffs no longer permissible. Environmental regulations cause barriers to free trade. Any regulation and economic activity can be seen as a barrier to free trade. The race to the bottom theory is primarily concerned with globalization and emerging nations' admission into the global market. The theory is that as lower cost nations become more integrated into the global economy, international commerce and investment will flow more freely to them. A race to the bottom can also be between government to attract industries, revenues, or taxes. For example, a jurisdiction may relax regulations to reduce taxes and compromise the public good in an attempt to attract investment, such as building a new factory or corporate office.
democracy, cultural integrity, and human rights. Increased global economic integrations threatens deeply held non-economic values. Often private multinational corporations are replacing legitimate governments as the true international decision makers. Pride mind the policies required by World Bank and MF are the very same policies that a country could choose to follow for itself. Ops for property.
Next is international business and a duty of national loyalty. Criticisms against global economic integration have risen from political improvements. Political leaders in the UK, USA, and Italy have advocated for policies to limit global free trade in favor of policies aimed at protecting domestic business and domestic jobs. Trump supported policies to buy American, hire American. So, na siya yung major agreement or argument di ay. Nag-ingon dire is social contract argument because businesses receive benefits from the society in which it operates. It owes raised against this view. So, under sa international business and a duty of national loyalty is naa siya four general arguments are raised against this view. So, number one is economic and utilitarian argument that this policy will raise prices and and therefore reduce overall happiness as goods service become more expensive. So, ang next is number two, market economics. Question: how a company is to know what a particular country demands of it? So, next, number three is challenge the idea that a transnational corporation should be thought of as belonging to or as a members of particular country in analogous way that individual citizens are. Social and economic chaos that would result in this approach was generalized, and if every company and primary duty to buy and hire within its home country.
Reflection on the chapter discussion, please. This chapter reflects on the debates regarding CSR from a free market-based view to one in which social responsibilities were embedded into the corporation's identity and mission. It also reminds us that ethical issues cannot be restricted to individual or organizational decisions and behaviors, and that modern corporations, especially large